election is going to be taking place, the midterm election in November. Busy schedule for local elections. And with us this morning is Adel Mozip, who is a U.S. Arab radio host and also running for the Dearborn School Board. Good morning, Adel.
Good morning, Khalil. Thank you
for
having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. Tell us a little bit about what office you're running for and a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm running for the Dearborn School Board, and a little bit about me. I came to the U.S. when I was 13 years old. I went to Fordson High School and enrolled at the University of Michigan in Dearborn, and then worked for CompuWare and Urban Science, two Detroit companies, and established my own company in 2014. And I do software development and consulting for a living. I've been very active in our schools, whether it's Etzel Ford, Salina, or my son's school, Gear Park, or Fordson High School. And been given back in the last decade or so, being active in the areas of higher education and environmental justice. And I was appointed by the governor to be on the Commission on Middle Eastern Affairs and also on the Environmental Justice Work Group. So I did a lot of statewide policy work, and I ran for board in 2016, came in third, so that did not get me a seat, and we'll give it another try this November, and I'm hoping people will come out and vote strong. We're anticipating the highest midterm turnout this November.
Why
November
do you think
6th.
so? Why do you think it's going to be the highest?
What's
going to motivate people this time?
Many factors. Obviously, the national climate is one. Hot topics on both sides. There are many ballot proposals. I think that we'll be discussing today that are going to drive people to the polls, whether you feel strongly about, marijuana one way or another. Another thing is the districting and also promote the vote to make voting easier, Proposal 3. So I believe, and also, the Democrats are trying to bring this kind of called blue wave, and also the Republicans want to send a message that they're still in full support of President Trump. So I'm anticipating a higher turnout, and obviously, local candidates, all politics stay local. And when you have somebody who is local, who is running, and people know him by name and know the things that he's done or she's done, people come out and strong. And when they go and vote for a local candidate, they're most likely also to vote up the ballot and vote up the ticket as well. Khalil, I want to mention this time, though, we don't have straight party ticking. So
I was going to ask you that. This is going to be the change. Is that, and I think it may confuse a lot of people.
It will, because a lot of people got used to just circle the party and then vote for the nonpartisan on the back of the ballot. But this time you will have to circle on everyone. Your vote will have to vote for the candidate and not the party. So the party doesn't really, it's only the column right now. There's no block for it where you can circle that. So it might be good, I guess, for local candidates who are nonpartisan that people know will have to circle, because a lot of people forget to flip the ballot. They just go and make the circle for the party, and they give away the ballot. But some people do their own research, which I do appreciate that. And they do vote the entire ballot, and they look at the candidates, and they do their research prior to going to the polls, and that's very, very important. You need to know who's running for judge, who's running for U.S. Senate, who's running for U.S. House in your district, who's running for the State Board of Education, who's running for the University of Michigan State Board, Wayne State, Michigan State. So there will be a lot of things on the ballot, and it would be great to take just a few minutes. You can go to vote411.org. And that service is by the League of Women Voters, and it gives you a great voter guide that tells you, who's running and what office they're running for and what they think about the issues.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention that most of the cities and townships are really seeking employees to work that day Normally they look for or they recruit volunteers, but they haven't been successful.
Right.
And they are, they're seeking people to work that day, to work the polls. What's the website again?
So the voter guide is vote411.org. And yeah, you're absolutely right about, working at the polls, and we need more younger people to work at the polls. Usually people who work at the polls are, senior citizens or people who have a lot of free time to dedicate to that, and usually the lines get really bogged down sometimes because of how sometimes the crowdedness of people coming out to vote. So we need a lot of people because right now the verification process is by the computer. Once you go there, they check off your name, make sure that you take your ID with you, so it could be faster. Now, if you don't have your ID in Michigan, you still can vote with an affidavit, but it's better to take a picture state ID with you to go to the polls.
Absolutely, yeah. Tell us a little bit about why should people vote for you?
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm passionate. I'm dedicated about education. I have a teaching experience. And I'm actually the youngest candidate on the ticket, so I do understand the students' issues. And when I'll be on the Board of Education, I'll be the voice for students and also the voice for taxpayers. As somebody who has an MBA, who has managed a business, I do understand how to balance budgets. And my life experiences, aside from degrees, aside from credentials, aside from the things that I have, I think my life experiences are very important to that board to make it look like the student body and reflect the aspirations and ideas and concerns that students and parents have for the Board of Education.
How many people are running for that? How many seats are open?
Yeah. There are 3 seats. 2 seats are full year term, which means they're 6 years, and or they call them full term, and 1 seat is 2-year term. Now, the 2-year term is only one person is running for it, and she's most likely going to be obviously voted in for that seat. She's currently an incumbent, so she's only vying for the 2-year term. Now, for the 6-year term, there are 2 seats, and people can vote for 2. And there are 8 candidates running, phenomenal candidates, amazing people who are courageous to run for office and to dedicate that much time. So I asking voters to go to vote411.org and see where everyone stands on the issues, and also to watch the forums that we've had. We've had 3 forums already, and most of them are available online. And you can go to individual websites as well of each candidate and see where they stand on issues and what are their credentials.
Yeah. What are some of the hottest issues in education today?
Well, one of the things is college readiness and career readiness that has came along in many forums. Most of our students, unfortunately, are not college ready or not career ready. And what are we doing to make sure that they are ready for that? Another hot issue is testing and over-testing. We're over-testing our students. They're spending a lot of time testing than instruction, when they should be actually, in instruction time. Another.
What do we do? Why do we do that? Why do we do a lot of testing?
It's mostly mandated by the state.
It doesn't make any sense.
Some tests do. I know the NEWA is not mandated by the state, but it gives the immediate snapshot to the teachers, to the administration, to tell the district where students stand and what are the things that we need to improve on. And if it gives you that much details data, it does help the teachers with instruction and the areas that they need to focus on.
Absolutely.
Now we have other exams or other tests that are not necessary, or they should be combined into one test.
Jerry has a question. Good morning, Jerry, and please make it very quick because we're very short on time, but I don't want to keep you waiting.
Thank you, Mr. Khalil Hachem, for taking my call. Good morning to you, and good morning to Mr. Adel Mozip.
Good morning, Jay.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. My question, Adel, first of all, I wish you the best luck to run for this position, and you deserve it. My question is, the English is the official language on the country, and lately the Spanish language come next to it. My question to Adel Mozip, if you win this position in education, higher education in Dearborn, could you enter the Arabic language as a third official language to help the Arab American student with this beautiful language beside the English and the Spanish? I will hear your answer.
Great question,
thank
Jerry.
you,
Thank you.
and God bless you.
Thank you, Jerry. Really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Well, what we already have in Dearborn schools is that we already have a phenomenal foreign languages program, and students can actually take any foreign language, including Arabic, in high school. What I'd like to see is also have that in middle school, where students can take Arabic classes in middle school, or French, or German. I do believe that we are offering Spanish in middle school, and we're offering French, and we should be offering Arabic if possible. Foreign languages has proven that when students attain more than a language, they perform better in exams and they do well in careers. And obviously we are in a global economy, and students should know more languages, and if I get elected, I will be championing that to bring that to the middle schools.
Sounds good. Before I let you go, Adel, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. One more time, why should people vote for you?
Appreciate it, Khalil, and appreciate the time that US Arab Radio has given me. Vote for me because I'm an independent voice. I will definitely bring the voices of students and parents together to the Board of Education, and to ask the tough questions and hold the administration accountable when they don't do well, and also support them in their current roles. I think it's very important to have that supportive relationship, but also have a voice where they're asking the tough questions and not be a rubber stamp to anyone, and be only held accountable to the taxpayers and to the voters who elect us. So I hope that you go out and vote, exercise your right, research the candidates, and I hope that you give me one of the votes for the Board of Education if you live in Dearborn or Dearborn Heights, Precinct 1 through 4. And wherever you are in Michigan, I hope that you go out and vote on November 6th, or you can vote early if you're not going to be available on Election Day.
Thank you so much, Adel, and good luck to you in the election.
Appreciate it, Khalil. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're going to continue talking about the national and the aspect of elections, this midterm election. Everybody is expecting it to be a defining moment in our recent history, and for the attention that is getting. And with us this morning, John Mulcahy, who's the editor at Michigan.com. Also, he's a former editor and news reporter at the Ann Arbor News and several other publications. Has a long history of covering elections and politics. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Khalil.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, I'm happy to talk to you.
Sure, you've been following the midterm elections. Do you think that this is getting more attention this year than previous midterm elections?
Well, I'm not sure if it's getting more attention, but I think that perhaps people feel that there's more at stake.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of the Trump presidency and things that are happening internationally, and because of people's own situation in the United States. I think people are not. I think they think there's a lot at stake in this. I'm not sure that they necessarily know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure you've done quite a bit of reporting, when working for the Ann Arbor News and other publications. Do you think people now are informed or well informed to go to the booth?
honestly, I kind of doubt it. I'm not sure that the reports they get and the report on the spectacle that goes on in Washington gives people really the kind of information they need, or just that focuses clearly enough on issues like, the really big issues like the disparity in wealth in the United States, or the foreign policy of the United States. Just as an example, it's backing and involvement in the Saudi Arabian war in Yemen. I don't think that they get quite enough really in-depth information and focus on these things to think about them seriously enough.
So, John, do you think that the confirmation, no doubt about it, the nomination and all that fiasco with Judge Kavanaugh got a lot of attention. Do you think that could maybe help usher more people to the poll?
Well, I guess all I can say is I certainly think it's possible that it could motivate more people to go to the polls. And I suppose it might motivate probably a little bit more on the side of the people who are opposed to his nomination, although it also could have just hardened attitudes on the side of the people who supported his nomination. I think there are other things, though, too, that may be very much motivating people to go to the polls.
Sure. In the background of the Me Too movement, women, most women groups were not happy with the nomination. And yesterday I was looking at some statistics which showed 53% of Republican women say that they would not vote Republican this time, which is a huge number. Could this be really changing the landscape here?
At least for this election. If that poll reflects reality, I think that is very significant. And it's always dangerous to make any kind of prediction, but I guess we'll have to see if that turns out. But certainly, if 53% of Republican women, I think I saw disapproved of his appointment or something like that. That's really significant.
Absolutely. I was really surprised to see the numbers, and I've been following the issue, in a different level to really see how much people were really kind of unhappy. They were really unhappy the fact that Justice Kavanaugh became a justice on the Supreme Court. They were unhappy with the process. They wanted to see more him being, instead of just, being a white boy, just being, well, things happen, and here's my judicial philosophy, instead of being belligerent during the confirmation process. What do you think?
I think they probably did want to see more than that, and I think that many people may have felt that he was being dishonest. I personally would have liked to hear actually more and see, him question more, although maybe I missed some of it, but question more thoroughly on things such as what was apparently his involvement in justifying during the Bush administration in finding a legal justification for torture, or his views on presidential power and things like that.
Exactly. It seems to me that there has been some kind of crusade to pack the court with younger justices who are right-wing, or conservative, rather, I want to say. Do you feel that way?
Yes. I don't know if I'd call it a crusade or not, but I think that really ever since the Warren Court, way back in the 1960s, which was a court that handed down a lot of liberal rulings, including the school desegregation and banning prayer in public schools, and I'm not quite sure. It was, and perhaps culminating with the Roe v. Wade. I'm not sure if Roe Warren was still on the court at that time, but
Sure.
I think that there was a very concerted effort and a very long-range effort on the part of the conservatives in the United States to change the nature of the court, and really it's become extremely conservative.
How significant is that?
Well, I think it's hugely significant. And the court has played. I don't want to get out of my depth in terms of my knowledge of history or anything, but
Sure.
it's right from the very beginning. The court has been controversial. If I recall right, Thomas Jefferson, was very upset the first time that the court ruled that something was unconstitutional, because he saw it as them assuming this right to rule on the constitutionality, and that something that some people may think should simply be the political process rather than a judicial process. And I think really the court has been, all in all, has been very conservative through time, and often been more of a check on, say, progressive legislation or progressive social change. And it was maybe that Warren Court that I referred to during the 50s and the 60s. Was perhaps more of an aberration from the norm of what the court has been.
With the court, yeah. Some people kind of felt like the fiasco that was going on during the nomination process of Justice Kavanaugh tainted the image of the court, which is a lot of people kind of, saw as, or like to see it, or like to believe that it is this independent body that is independent from politics, that is, only regardless of how they, whether they're conservative or liberal, only good people really become justices. Do you feel that way?
I think that it may have somewhat, thrown the court into, some disrepute. But I think that there have always been very, strong feelings about it, one way or the other, and suspicion that it has, a political agenda. And I don't think that, in all honesty, it can be entirely removed from politics. I mean, the people
Exactly.
who are appointed there are appointed by politicians for a reason.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
So I don't know if it'll be a huge change. I mean, I think that the change in the court just has to be viewed in the context of the change of the political situation, and you might even say sometimes the political crisis in the United States.
We're going to do that. John, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and then we'll see how the election unfolds. And for everyone, I really want to thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This hour.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, John.
Bye.